Okay, in this exercise, we're going to simplify an expression that is given to us. I just put the equal sign at the beginning to give an order, sense order here, so we don't lose track of whatever we're doing. Before we do this exercise, so we need to review which is called PEMDAS. And what does this mean? This is basically the order of operation that you're going to follow when it comes to simplification, like an exercise like this. This means that you're going to do basically first the parentheses, then you're going to do exponents, then you're going to do multiplication and division in the order they appear, followed by addition and subtraction in the order they appear. So we're going to keep that there and then we're going to follow through. So PEMDAS, parentheses. So that means that we need to work with this and this first. And we're going to talk about this a little bit later. So we're going to step aside later on and then talk about absolute value. Okay, so this we're not going to do anything with it so far. So we're going to keep the negative in front of the absolute value of the number -2, plus, like we said, we're going to do basically the parentheses. Now notice that exponent comes after parentheses. So we're going to deal with this first. So you have basically -3 minus 2. This is the addition of two negative numbers. So what you do is you add the two numbers and it gives you a 5. And since both have negative signs, you're going to keep the negative number, the negative sign. And you're going to close your parentheses and you're going to keep the exponent 2 minus, and then we're going to work with this parentheses again. So we open the parentheses, -5 plus 2. So you're adding numbers with different signs. What you do, you subtract the numbers. So how much is 5 minus 2? It's equal to 3. And then remember that I did 5 minus 2, so now I consider the signs. So who has greater absolute value, -5 or +2? -5 has a greater absolute value. Its sign is basically negative, so I'm going to keep the negative. And it's elevated to a power, which is the power number 0. Now we're going to do the exponent. But before we do the exponents, this exponent is easy to deal with. This one is a little bit tricky. So always keep in mind that any number that is not the number 0, okay, any number that is not the number 0, any number a that is not equal to the number 0, when you take the number 8 and you elevate it to the 0 power, always gives you the number 1. So that means that if this is not the number 0, in this case it's -3, once you take any number, you elevate it to the 0 power, it gives you the number 1. So now we're going to work with this exponent and this exponent. This exponent is easy to work with, okay? Because any number elevated to the second power, number 1, it gives you a positive number regardless of whether the number is positive or negative, because it's multiplied by itself. In this case, it's -5 times -5. It gives you a positive number. This one we're not going to work with it yet, so we're going to keep it the same way. So you have negative absolute value of the -2 plus this is -5 times -5 gives you negative times negative is positive, and a positive outside the parentheses, so we're going to keep the positive sign here. 5 times 5 is equal to 25. In this case, we're going to always keep in mind that you have a negative in this case right here. So we said that any number within this parenthesis elevated to 0 power is equal to the number 1. So this will be number 1, but since +1. But since you have a negative outside, that +1 is affected by this negative, and it gives you a -1. Now we're going to work with this absolute value. Okay, keep in mind the concept of absolute value. The absolute value of any number, it's always equal to the number, same number, a, but keep in mind that it's going to be positive all the time, 100% of the time. So knowing that, keep in mind that you still have a negative here. So this negative has nothing to do with this negative inside of the absolute value. So we're working with the absolute value. So we're going to eliminate the absolute value and use a parenthesis instead. Negative. So the result of the absolute value -2 is equal to the number +2. Once again, this negative is not from the absolute value. This is outside the absolute value. Plus the number 25 minus 1. We don't have multiplication and division in this case, so we're going to skip that. We're going to keep going with PEMDAS. Now we're going to go into addition and subtraction in the order they appear. So you have a parenthesis with a +2, and it has a negative in front, so that becomes, once you eliminate the parenthesis, -2 plus 25 minus 1. So I know this is a very easy problem to work with, but if you follow the order, so you're going to do addition and subtraction in the order they appear, -2 plus the number 25, you subtract the numbers, that gives you a positive 23. And if you take positive 23 and subtract 1, it gives you positive 22. So the result in this case, after you simplify this expression, it's equal to the number 22. And there you have the result.